these Kayalis. Yeah, I wouldn't want to smell like that. No. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I am Gids, and today I thought in this video I would talk about the fragrances that I will not be repurchasing. Now, this is always a bit controversial when you talk about fragrances that you will not repurchase or you're going to declutter. In my case, this isn't so much a declutter as such. I will definitely try to finish these fragrances that I have here. I don't think they're necessarily quote unquote bad fragrances, because I don't believe there is any such thing as a bad fragrance. They're just fragrances that I no longer will be repurchasing. Because, for example, I've moved away from liking this particular scent profile, or my taste has just generally changed, and that's really all there is to it. If I mention a fragrance that you love, please do not be offended. It's not personal against you. It's just for me personally, I don't want to own these fragrances anymore, or just simply repurchase them. That's all. Okay. So I will show you, I have them on a little tray. There isn't actually that many, but I have them here, and I am going to talk through these fragrances. Yeah. The first one I'm going to get into is this one here. This is from Xerjoff. This is the only Xerjoff I actually own. This is Erba Pura. Now, Erba Pura, I should say it the Italian way, Erba Pura, is a very, very fruity fragrance. Fruity floral, but very, very predominantly very fruity. So lots of sort of like melon and tropical fruits, probably like passion fruit, think of mango, think of all of those very tropical fruits, and like a fruit cocktail. Add some musk and some vanilla and probably some woodiness in the base as well, and you pretty much have Erba Pura. Now, why am I not going to repurchase this? Because there was a point when I I was obsessed with Erba Pura. I can even remember the first time I went to Harrods and I smelt this on the 6th floor of Harrods, where you've got the lovely perfume salon, and I went crazy for this fragrance. I just think Erba Pura, for what it is, and I think a lot of people have got to this point as well, it just smells a little bit juvenile, and also a little bit too chemically and synthetic, as in it's a fruity fragrance in a very typical generic way. For example, when I think of a fruity fragrance that I love and I think is incredible, I would say something like L'Ombre dans l'eau from Diptyque, which is a fresh berry, green rose type of scent. It's incredible. It smells really realistic, very, very fresh. This, on the other hand, for me, smells a bit too synthetic. Now, I know some people hate when people refer to fragrances as synthetic, because really all fragrances contain a lot of aroma chemicals within the fragrance itself. And I understand that. But just for me personally, this does smell very chemically, very, very synthetic, and slightly juvenile. And it's not a fragrance I want to wear anymore. I've just moved on, and I smell it. I've tried to wear it as much as I can because I'm trying to finish the bottle, but it's not an enjoyable experience necessarily for me wearing this. It's not terrible, but every time I wear it, I think, I don't know. So I definitely will not be repurchasing Erba Pura. I think it's Erba Gold in like the gold yellow bottle. I think that is very nice. That's very fresh and fruity and quite lovely. And I think they brought that out maybe because they wanted to give a sibling to this fragrance, because a lot of people have said this just smells too synthetic, but that one is much better. So if you like fruity fragrances and you're not sure about this one, I would say go for, I think it's Erba Pura Gold. I think that's the name of it. I will leave a picture of it so you know which one I'm talking about. Okay. The next fragrance for me, which I'm going to be talking about, This is a bit sad because I once upon a time really loved this one, and it's Oud For Greatness. Again, similar to Erba Pura, I am just over this fragrance. I remember when I was so obsessed and I would wear this fragrance all the time. I just couldn't stop wearing it. I don't enjoy the scent profile of this anymore. I think, how can I put this? It's become very generic to me, this sort of spicy, woody, slightly sweet scent profile, which is quite common. You smell this sort of DNA, and I'm going to talk about another one in a moment, which is very popular. I think you might have seen it from Maison France's Kurkdijan. But in a similar way, similar fashion, this has become very popular. There's lots of dupes of this, and I don't want to get into the dupes category. Personally, I don't really do dupes. It's just not my thing. But this one is a fragrance which I just smell too much, and I smell too many interpretations of this fragrance, and it's just made me not enjoy wearing a fragrance anymore. Now, I have to be really honest, for me, uniqueness is a very high and important factor when I'm buying a fragrance. I need my fragrance to be unique, to be interesting, and that might be asking a lot, because I think when a fragrance is good, it will become popular. That's inevitable, and people will wear it. So how unique is it then going to be? But I just feel like I smelt this way too much, this kind of profile, and it really kind of put me off this fragrance. I didn't feel special when I wore it anymore. So when this finishes, I'm going to enjoy this, and when it finishes, I will just close the chapter with Oud For Greatness. Oud, saffron, nutmeg. It's a very interesting fragrance, and I mean, I've enjoyed it, but it's time to move on. Maison France's Kurkdijan's Baccarat Rouge 540, the Eau de Parfum. I definitely will not repurchase this. Yeah, I can say that categorically. I think I still have quite a lot in the bottle actually, so I will try to finish this, but I don't see myself repurchasing this fragrance. I'm not gonna bash on this fragrance. I know it already gets a lot of hate. A lot of people hate it. I happen to really like Baccarat Rouge. I think it's a brilliant fragrance. It's one which will go down in history because it's so interesting. Yes, there is still uniqueness to this fragrance, because there was nothing that smelled like Baccarat Rouge when it came out. You know, it has become a victim of its own success. You do smell so many interpretations and variations and clones and dupes everywhere, and it can be a bit much, to be completely honest with you. It can be a bit much. I mean, I smell the profile, the scent profile, the scent, this scent DNA, I smell it everywhere in London, on the way to work, in the supermarket, on the trains, at work, in the streets. You cannot escape, especially if you live in a city, you can't escape the smell of Baccarat Rouge, whether it's the real Baccarat Rouge or that kind of scent profile. So why will I not repurchase it? Well, I think for me, it now lacks the uniqueness that it perhaps once had, and I smell it too much. It's almost like a fatigue of the fragrance. It doesn't mean say I like a fragrance and I smell it everywhere. Just because I smell it everywhere, it's suddenly a bad fragrance. Not at all. But I just don't feel I would be driven to repurchase something like this. I just think for the money that this costs, there are other interesting fragrances that I would like to explore. Therefore, I will explore those. I like this, I don't love it enough to repurchase. And this bottle has been with me for many years, and if I loved it, it would have been finished, but it hasn't, as you can see. But that's it. I'm not going to bash the fragrance. I think it's a great fragrance. I'm over it, really. Kayali's LoveFest Burning Cherry 48, which is a cherry scent. I like that they have the notes on the back. It says it's got raspberry pralines, Palo Santo, Gaiac wood, and patchouli. The sprayers are amazing on these. Still a good scent. Oh man. Ooh, these Kayalis. This is a 50 ml. Yeah, this is a 50 ml. I thought I liked cherry, but I actually don't like cherry. I don't like cherry in fragrances. I've tried to like cherry, and now I say to myself, Gideon, why are you pushing yourself to like cherry? You don't like cherry. I've tried different variations of cherry. I just haven't smelled a cherry fragrance that I truly, truly love. I can appreciate them, like I can appreciate Tom Ford's Lost Cherry, for example, and there's other cherry fragrances that are okay, but I just don't want to smell like this on a day-to-day basis. The performance isn't great either. It's quite poor, to be honest. It's barely a skin scent, even if you overspray it. I don't like it enough to even keep in my collection. I mean, I probably might even just give this away. I mean, I just don't see myself wearing this. Yeah, it's just a very meh fragrance, and I think wear the fragrances that make you happy, because you wear them throughout the day. So this is one which I will never repurchase. Xi'an from Ormonde Jayne. It pains me to put an Ormonde Jayne fragrance on the list, but I just don't think this is a fragrance I will personally be repurchasing. I'm not in love with it. I think it's okay. It's a meh fragrance, and I don't really want meh fragrances in my collection. I only really want to have in my collection fragrances that I really, really love, and I'm slowly finding that out and getting rid of things, finishing things, and just making my collection much more of a really condensed and amazing collection of fragrances that I just really, really love and I'm excited to wear. This one's really unique. It's rhubarb, white musk, cedar, black pepper, and nutmeg. I thought, wow, this is such an interesting and unique fragrance, and it is very unique. It smells very musky with a bit of spiciness. It smells clean and fresh, and that rhubarb note adds something really interesting as well. But the performance on this for me is really, really poor. Number one, it's so poor. For an eau de parfum to not even last more than a few hours is really bad in my opinion. And Ormonde Jayne aren't cheap. The brand isn't cheap. I bought this on offer, but that's not the point. I don't know, the performance for me is just really lets it down, and it was so disappointing. I really thought, because when you spray it in the air, it is quite strong. It is quite a strong fragrance, and I have been very liberal in applying this fragrance, but it just, for whatever reason, it just doesn't last. So sadly, I won't be repurchasing this fragrance in the future. Sauvage Elixir from Dior. This one is interesting, but it's the main reason why I won't repurchase this is I'm already kind of over this scent profile. First of all, this is a very strong fragrance. When you wear it, you have to really commit to it. I think I like smelling this more on other people than on myself. It's very spicy. It has a slight aromatic touch to it. It's very interesting. It's deep. It's rich. It's really long lasting. But I just find for me, there's something really strong and slightly headache inducing in the fragrance. I don't know what it is, but whenever I wear it and I really kind of spray a lot of it, it just wants to give me a headache. And even when I've not sprayed a lot of it, it's also wanted to give me a headache. I don't know what it is. Maybe there's something in this, maybe it's a note in this, something in the fragrance, but I just find it's a bit too much for my liking. It's just too much. There's too much of something. It's very strong though. If you like really strong fragrances, check out Sauvage Elixir. I'm just not the biggest fan of the Sauvage line personally. I think it's the parfum isn't bad for Sauvage, but personally, I won't be repurchasing that because it just seems to always give me a weird headache I don't know why. I don't know why. Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme. This this fragrance I haven't worn in years, and when I smell it like this, I can appreciate how unique this fragrance is. This is again one of my most unique fragrances. It's got this patchouli, wet, earthy, slightly vetiver, medicinal, clean, really odd smell to it. It smells like Dettol to my nose, like Dettol mixed with vetiver and patchouli. It's the weirdest smell, and I remember wearing this and my mum was like, what's that smell? What's that cleaning smell? And it was my fragrance. Now, that's not really a reaction that I want when I wear a fragrance. And I can appreciate this as unique. When I bought it, I was like, oh, it's really interesting. And I like to have interesting fragrances in my collection, but I also need to own fragrances that I'm actually going to wear, which is sad. So what I probably will do is just use this more as a room spray or something like that, because I don't mind the smell of it in the air. It's just I don't want it on me personally. Yeah, I wouldn't want to smell like that. No, but I can appreciate this as a very unique and interesting fragrance, definitely. So guys, those are my fragrances that I will not be repurchasing in the future. Let me know your thoughts. Again, please don't be offended if you love any of these. There's nothing wrong. There may be fragrances in my collection that may not work for you and vice versa. And also sometimes we just move on. The same way that our style changes and evolves, our tastes change as well. So we're allowed to change our mind and to not want to repurchase certain fragrances in the future. Anyway, as always, if you like this video, give me a big thumbs up. Please leave me a comment down below on any of these fragrances or fragrances that don't work for you or what you won't be repurchasing. And as always, thank you and take care. All the best.